What is the information that I need to know so that I can solve problems better as the CEO, assign the right work to the right people, and get on with my day? Welcome back to Tea Time, where we spill the tea on all the things that go down in entrepreneurship. And we're going to do it really heavily today from a systems perspective, which of course I'm super geeked about, because if you're hanging out with me here at Sensible Woo, you also are super into systems and processes and productivity and all the goodness that goes into organization inside of the back end of your business operations. So today we're going to talk about peace of mind profit workflows. Some of you have known about my signature program that really grew some serious legs during COVID called the Workflow Party. And I believe that it got really popular because people realized that they didn't really know what their processes were and that they were really looking for some clarity and some answers about what's actually happening for my customers. I actually need to change a lot for my customers. And the truth is it doesn't take a pandemic or anything that is a really drastic change in the world like we did experience during COVID. It actually happens all the time. And so your workflows become this guide map that tell you basically if this, then that. It's a very algorithmic way of looking at your business. I happen to think they're a ton of fun because they have a real choose your own adventure kind of feeling to it. And I think a lot of other people have fun with it too, which is why one of my clients actually named it the Workflow Party way back in the day. And I've just kept the name because it just really embodies that feeling. People get into the process and they realize, this is actually a lot of fun. Now, I will give you a really clear guideline here. If you notice that it's really hard for you to complete if this, then that, like if this happens for my client, then this thing is going to happen afterward. If that is hard for you to do, it probably means that it's still a little too early to be thinking along the lines where your brain kind of wants to go. And I want you to go back and really look at, do you have offer market fit? That offer market fit stage just feels a lot like primordial soup. And I know it's really hard to hang out in, but even if you've been an established business owner and you're recreating a new offer, which a lot of people have been doing the last few years, you might still find that you need time to be in that primordial soup space and actually think about okay, have I actually piloted and sold this offer to real paying people? Or am I just still sort of dancing around the selling part? In which case, I really want you to go back and I want you to sell those offers. So then these workflows are going to make so much more sense for you because you kind of need some of that data from those early experimentations in order to make some improvements. So when it comes to workflows, it's a very algorithmic way of thinking of your business, which we do a lot inside of our businesses now. There are so many digital components. Even if you don't consider yourself truly an online business, you still have a ton of online parts of your business, whether you're using software as a system like ConvertKit or MailChimp or Calendly or Acuity Scheduling. Those are all softwares that are hosted in the cloud for you, and then you take advantage of them. And they do impact how you interact with your clients. Now, workflows can also be used when it comes to brick and mortar stores, product-based businesses. Basically, you're always asking yourself, for any process that happens in my business, what is the first thing that happens? What's the second thing that happens? What are all the things that are dependent upon those things? What software supports me? What people support me? Where are their breakdowns? What is the information that I need to know so that I can solve problems better as the CEO, assign the right work to the right people, and get on with my day? So that's really what we're doing when it comes to workflows. Now, when you've got workflows really moving inside of your business and you actually know your processes and you know what tools you're using to support yourself, then you start to get the peace of mind, because everything doesn't feel like this big foggy sort of gray area. You actually have something where you can point at a diagram, because you do make a diagram when you do workflows, and you can point at it and you can say, this thing is happening, or that thing is really broken right now. And it can help you solve it faster, help you solve it more efficiently. And then you won't go solving the wrong problem, you'll go solve more of the right problems. And that will actually bring you in more profit, because you're just not futzing around so much. So that is a really important thing to know when it comes to your workflows. The other thing I love about workflows is how much they show you how to simplify everything inside of your business. They show you how to save money. They show you how to save time. They show you how to surprise and delight your audience as much as you possibly can, because you can actually pre-plan it out. So as much as we love our audience to feel surprise and delight, like, oh, how did you think of that? That was fantastic. Ideally, inside of your workflow, you know exactly where that should fit in. You have it all budgeted in. It's all mapped out, and the surprise and delight comes because your systems support that process so incredibly well that your audience then really feels the energy and the heart that you've put into it. You can kind of think it like when you watch an actor on the screen, and if they're not very good, like you can see them trying to act, and then it kind of takes the enjoyment out of watching the performance. But when we watch really great actors who are so good at their craft, they make it look effortless and natural, like they just are the character. They just embody that essence. And your business kind of goes through a similar process too. You want your customers to feel that effortlessness, that this is just always has existed. It is the most natural thing in the world to go through this process with you, to have the deliverables delivered to them in this way. And that creates this incredibly beautiful feeling that makes them want to do more with you. It brings you more recurring revenue from your client base. And it also helps you reduce your overhead, because you have something that is a repeatable process and you aren't recreating the wheel every single time. So one of the things that you really want to make sure you understand is that you cannot really have the profit in the peace of mind profit workflow without a clear process. That process is what helps you eliminate waste. It helps you make sure that you aren't doing something that is unnecessarily complicated. And in any spot where you're like, gee, I think I actually really need help right here, you know exactly where that is, and you can go get that help instead of swimming around in a sea of service providers. You will actually be able to ask specifically for what you need. You're going to get the work done faster, and you're going to have better results because of it. And these workflows are like mind maps. They open up everyone else into your process. They are what allow you to start automating and delegating work off your plate, and they become the SOPs, the standard operating procedures of your business. Now, just because you create a workflow once doesn't mean that it's going to be done forever and ever and ever. Sometimes you need to create workflows again and again over time, because they're going to evolve. There's also the natural evolution of everything we're experiencing. Again, COVID was a really great example of this. I think we're going to be examining the impact of a collective event like that for quite some time. And I encourage you to do the same thing for yourself in your own business with your own process, so that you can actually take a look at, well, if something like that happened again, what would I need to have in place so that I can pivot more easily, or so that I don't feel so caught off guard, or so that I can continue supporting my people as best I can with the knowledge I have in the world today. And I don't think we'll have as big a disruption like that ever again. But one of the big things I did see during that time period was how many people said that they worked online, that they were an online entrepreneur. And when it came to simply showing up to a Zoom meeting, how many of them were totally unprepared. They had cameras that didn't work on their computers. Their internet connections were really poor. They didn't have a working headset or microphone, really basic things. And one of the things you can look at is, what broke for me previously? I've just been through something. What broke? How do I look at that? Not to judge myself or to feel poorly about it, but What about that can be made better now so that I can continue strengthening for the future? And your workflows will show you where all of that is at. And it's not uncommon that the first time somebody does a workflow where they lay out, first this happens, then this happens, and then this next thing happens, and then this next thing happens. And you start mapping out what are all the different pieces of software that are supporting you along the way. And you realize that you've got quite a few problems to solve. That's a pretty common thing. So be kind to yourself and remember that it's better to know than to not know, because once you know, you can actually do something about it. But to be clueless is actually the worst thing in the world. That is way worse than looking at your list of to-dos and going, oh, I have so much. Oh, I have so much to do. Well, you know what? We can make a to-do list out of so much to do. But if you don't know anything that's going on, we can't solve anything. And that is actually worse for your business. So I will encourage you to think about what happens first, second, third, and so forth in these processes with the people who I serve, with the offers that I deliver. And if you don't actually know what happens first, second, third, then please go back to the drawing board, go finish piloting, go sell some more of those offers, go play around in the primordial soup. That can actually be a really exciting place where you can actually be super creative and test a bunch of stuff. So don't be afraid of that space. But when it's time to move into standardizing your processes, make sure that you give yourself time to work on workflows. And I'll be here whenever you're ready to do more of that advanced work. So that is my secret spilled tea in the world of entrepreneurship. A lot of people ask me, Mary, how do I get to creating standard operating procedures? And I always say it starts with a workflow process. And a lot of times, sometimes it helps to have a coach do it with you, which is why so many people like doing that with me, because you really need somebody to ask you those questions where you kind of tend to gloss over it yourself, and somebody on the outside will say, well, why do you do that, and why this, and who does that, and where does this go? And sometimes you'll notice that you kind of have like a little bit of spaghetti going on. It's not really a clean line, but eventually you can get to that clean line, and it will save you time and money. It will allow you to get extra help in your business more clearly. And it also will help you save so much overhead. I mean, so much overhead. I have seen people pick better softwares. I've seen them realize that they're using two of the same thing, but from different service providers, one at the end and one at the beginning. And they realize, oh, you know what? I just actually need to cancel the one and start utilizing the other one more fully across the whole process. So with that, enjoy working on your workflows. Enjoy creating your standard operating procedures, and I will see you back here with your beautiful peace of mind profit workflows.